My name is Baroness Ingegerd Kastanrazi, and I hail from the Kingdom of Atlantia. And this is part 7 of the series where I read the Society Marshal's Handbook from July 2020. And in this section, part 7, I will be covering the section Roman numeral 9, which relates to armored combat with rebated blades or armored steel combat. And in Roman numeral 9, it'll be sections F through L, which can be found on pages 29 through 31. If you would like to see other parts of the series, please feel free to go to my YouTube channel to hear other parts read aloud. And as I record other sections, I will upload them as I go. So, Part F, Rules of Combat. 1. All combat shall be fought in dual singles style of tournament. 2. Tournament shall be conducted in one of the approved formats discussed in Section 4D. 3. Combatants may recognize a blow by saying good. 3A. Judges will immediately add that blow to their tally. 4. Grappling, kicking, punching, striking with the shield, and other forms of combat not expressly stipulated herein are disallowed. It is understood, however, that corps à corps and other contact is likely. 5. The Marshal's Handbook states any person on the list, spectator, or combatant may call hold. It will be immediately amplified by all persons in and around the list field. Combatants will immediately assume a non-aggressive posture and await the instructions of the Marshal. 6. A failure of any piece of equipment immediately stops the combat. Combatants will be given a reasonable amount of time, not to exceed 1 minute, to repair, replace, or exchange their equipment. If they are unable to answer the call, they will forfeit that bout. 7. Should a combatant lose their balance and falls, trips, or is otherwise compromised, the fight shall be stopped. This will not provide an unfair advantage to the compromised fighter. For example, if a combatant struck an opponent and the opponent loses their balance, the blow is counted. 8. Combatants shall behave in a knightly and chivalrous manner and shall fight according to the appropriate society and kingdom conventions of combat. 9. Judges and marshals have the final say of what occurred upon the field. Appeals and other questions shall be handled within the policies and procedures outlined in the Marshal's Handbook. 10. Fighting at barriers and other forms of deed are all allowed if conducted within the confines of the rules of the lists and the rules outlined herein. 11. Fighters may have to undergo a series of challenges to earn advancement upon the list. 12. Specifically forbidden at this time are 12A. All unarmed martial art techniques. 12B. All mass weapons, including but not limited to pole weapon, spear, axe, mace, bar mace, and other weapons that rely on mass to effect killing efficiency on the battlefield. 12C. Melee. 12D. Half sorting techniques. Section G. Target areas. G1. All valid blows will be targeted at the head and torso of the combatant. Arms 1 inch above the condyles of the wrist are valid. A valid blow 1 inch above the kneecap of the combatant's opponent shall be considered valid. G2. A blow striking non-counted. Hands and 1 inch above the knee and below. Areas shall not be caused to stop a fight unless it results in an injury. An injury will require a root cause to determine if the armor failed to protect or the nature of the blow was a determining factor. In either case, action by the marshal is required. Blow striking non-counted areas shall not be considered as a valid counted blow. G3. Strikes to the groin, neck, and throat of a combatant are valid. However, combatants should exercise caution when striking into these areas. H. Valid blows. H1. A valid blow will be considered a cut, unimpeded, or the intent of the blow not significantly diminished by defensive action, striking only upon the edge of the sword. H2. The blow is thrown with a similar technique as would have been used to cause injury, but with a force that is deemed acceptable for sports competition. H3. 3 joints must be employed in the delivery of the blow. Wrist, elbow, and shoulder are a prime example. H4. Longsword blows require both hands on the grip to be scored. I. Permissible techniques. I1. Cutting blows to the opponent's target areas, as defined above, delivered with the cutting edge of the weapons. I2. Blocking the opponent's blows with a shield or a blade. I3. Pushing or pressing the opponent with a shield or shoulder. I4. Hitting with the plane of a shield. I5. Repulsion of a blade, a shield, or opponent's arms and hands with the shield's plane or the shield's edge. I6. Hooking the opponent's shield with your shield. I7. Overlapping of the opponent's shield with your shield. Section J. Prohibited techniques. J1. Thrusting with the blade of the weapon, all thrusts. J2. Punching with the edge of the shield. J3. Striking a disarmed opponent, no weapon in hand. J4. Blows aimed at the opponent's non-counted area. J5. Blows aimed at fallen opponents or those rising to a standing position. J6. Blows delivered with your head. J7. Kicking or kneeing your opponent. J8. Back heels, wrestling throws, and clinches. J9. Punches and elbow strokes. I do believe that might be a typo and it should say elbow strikes, but I could be wrong. I'm just going to make a note of that at J9. J10. Also, check with your local marshal or check with the Kingdom Marshal or Earl Marshal. J10. Blows delivered with the hilt or pommel of a weapon. J11. Holds of the opponent's body, head, limbs, using hands or shield, as well as grabbing his equipment, including a sword and a shield with your hands. J12. At the marshal's discretion, any other technique deemed substantially unsafe. K. Permissible tournament styles. The following are the tournament styles which are currently approved, which are more fully described in section 0.2 below. Gallery. Race to X, judge are called, no reset. Race to X, judge are called, reset after each point. Timed, counted blows judged only. Set number of blows. Section L. List field requirements. The list field must be a square with a side dimension of 20 to 25 feet. 1. List field shall be marked clearly on the ground, i.e. with paint, chalk, or tape as examples. The marshals stop the fight as the fighters approach the defined boundary. 2. A safety zone of 10 feet shall extend out in all areas where spectators are allowed, The safety zone is not optional. A rope or rail boundary not less than 3 feet high shall be used. Now, in this recording, I understand that many of you are auditory listeners. However, you will need to reference the diagram that you can see in this video, as well as in the Marshal's Guide, outlining a diagram of what the appropriate list field for armored combat with rebraided blades or armored steel combat looks like. This diagram can be found on page 31 of the July 2020 Handbook, and it shows that the list marshal is inside the list field area, which the minimum size is 20 by 20. It can be as large as 25 by 25. The list marshal is in that area, and the judges are on the outside. 2 judges, 2 opposite corners, and they basically cover one entire side of the safety zone. And the safety zone is 10 feet in any direction. And as noted, the safety zone is enclosed with a 3-foot high barrier, physical barrier, but the list field area is simply marked on the ground. And as noted in here, a judge may move all the way down each side of the safety zone from the corner that they started in. And underneath the diagram it reads, a rope or rail boundary not less than 3 feet high shall be used to mark the safety zone. The list field area shall be marked in such a way as to not create a tripping hazard for the fighters. Chalk, paint, tape are all acceptable ways of defining the list field area. This concludes this section that we are reading for the Marshal's Manual, and we will pick up with section 8, which will begin with, again, section Roman numeral 9, part M, marshaling armored steel combat, in our next recording. Once again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this recording, you may contact me, Baroness Ingegerd Kastanrazi. I hail from the Kingdom of Atlantia, and I hope this helps, and I hope you have a good day. Thanks for listening.